This episode is being broadcasted and produced here at Big Stu Studios. Welcome to another episode of Straight Like That podcast. I am your host, Antoine Thomas. This show is being produced and aired here at Big Stu Studios with my producer, Big Stu. Shout out to my producer, Big Stu. If you need any content created, he is the man to go to. I have a special guest with me today. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know who you are?
My name's Charlotte Jones. Okay. I am a local farmer here in the city.
Okay.
I grow a urban farm growing wheatgrass and microgreens.
Okay.
Yeah. And then tonight we're having Mr. Big Stu produce our first podcast of our show Knockin' Roots, when good plants get a bad reputation.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Big Stu film family.
Thank you.
We do
I'm
what we can
excited.
over here. It should be fun. So you said you do farming?
I do, yeah. So we actually had our 5-year anniversary 2 months ago.
Okay.
So that was super exciting.
Okay.
So we specialize in wheatgrass and microgreens. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our, basically, if you're getting wheatgrass in St. Louis, there's a 85% chance you're getting it from ours.
Okay. So how did you get into that?
So I traveled for about 9 years as a welder, working on wind turbines.
Oh, wow.
And then I banged my per diem and came back here and decided I was done dealing with people. Like, prior to welding, I was a restaurant server.
Okay.
All that, the industry.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who work in that industry as servers or hosts.
It is so good for you in the future, but man, I don't want to die doing it. So
that's one of the industries you got to have tough skin, because you dealing with people.
You do.
It's just it's just fun.
You know what plants do whenever they don't like what you're doing? Like, nothing, man. Nothing.
Right.
They just look adorable and help your air be cleaner.
So where are you all located at?
Right now we're over in South City.
Okay.
We don't really have a spot. We had a big facility where we were having people come in. We also had educational classes and stuff like that going on. But we lost our building, so now we're in a small spot where we produce, but we can't really have people come in. But have you heard of 9 Mile Garden?
I've heard of it, yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's like a big, I think it's like a football-sized field where they always have at least 5-6 food trucks.
Okay.
On Sundays, they're doing farmers markets.
Okay.
So I and a friend of mine, Amber Donlin, who's actually on my podcast too, she owns a plant crafts business.
Okay.
So we joined together and made a tent and just kind of turned it into a jungle. And we sell our goods through there as well.
So is it just you that owns the business, or are you working with somebody else? Or
Nope, it's all me. I absolutely do have help on my markets. So I'm a big family lady. So my mom and my dad are my first people that I call into the crew. And then the other 2 people that I call in are actually people that worked for me whenever I was running restaurants, in my early 20s.
I got you.
They were awesome, so I just kept a hold of them. So if they're available, I'm like, come on now.
So what days are you all open?
So 9 Mile, I believe, is open every single day. But their farmers market runs on Sundays, and that's from 10 to 2. But the place is really awesome. It was actually my first time out there last Sunday.
Okay.
So apparently they do live comedy, free comedy shows and stuff out there. They do free live bands.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited to.
So is that something you'll be doing on a regular, weekly, or is it just something that you try to do once and?
No,
just to see.
I'm a market girl, so that was kind of one of the things that kept me into farming. Was I love talking to people. I love talking to people about plants. If you let me, I will do it all day.
Okay. So you said you just had your 5-year anniversary with your business. So what made you? How did you sustain those 5 years?
That's a good question.
I do what I can.
You know, family support was a big part of it.
Okay.
Although I do have to say, for the first like year of my business, my family were like, "Stop doing what you like. Why are you doing this? It's weird. You're never gonna make money. Like, quit being a weirdo." And I was like, no, I'm good with my weird, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out somehow.
Right. Now, is this something that you've always wanted to do, or is it just something that you just kind of came into?
So I've always been really interested in plants. I've always loved creating my own businesses. I mean, I think by the age of 12, I had already had like 7 different businesses. It was ridiculous.
Gotcha.
I sold rocks to people for like 25, like literal rocks. But they'd be like in a wedge, and I'd be like, "This is a wonderful, rare pizza rock. You need this."
Oh wow. That's
People
something.
around the neighborhood, they're like, "This girl's too cute. I'll give her 25 cents, whatever."
Right. So have you ever thought about possibly going to like a big chain? What you doing plants, something like Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards, something like that. Have you ever thought about possibly partnering up with somebody like that?
So not Lowe's Home Depot version, but I would want to pair up with like Whole Foods, Fresh Time, Old Time, produce. So that was actually the route until we lost our big business.
Okay.
So the licensing and everything for what we had for commercial there versus what I have now, I have to find another farm. So that's the priority right now.
So do you still have your commercial license, or does that expire? Or
well, you get the licensing per building.
Okay.
So we don't just grow plants. My jam is growing plants and educating people, but then I also make a bunch of stuff out of my plants.
Okay. Like what do you make? Out of your plants?
Like protein powders. We also have different like skin balms and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whenever I was little, I used to have eczema, and I was always poor and never had insurance. Even if you did have insurance, it's like $100 for that like tub of like cream that you smear on there, and it makes you all greasy and it's nasty.
I have eczema, so the hydrocortisone, I hated using it.
I will bring you some
greasy.
of my stuff. Well, so what I did was I learned with sprouts, it's the highest content of chlorophyll in any plant, which is like super bad to the bone for your skin. So I started taking the essential oils out of those and putting them into balms. And then, I mean, it's been 5 years without a breakout for me. Within like a minute, like you rub it in, it dries.
Okay.
Like,
see, that's funny because my mom is starting to get into that whole organic, natural type thing where she's starting to experiment with making her own oils. Yeah. So, and I'm starting to use, and I've had her make me some of it, and it works. She's steady. Like she has a aloe vera plant that she uses. And I'm like, why are you, first of all, when did this become a hobby for you? What made you want to start doing this? And it actually, like the stuff that she makes, it actually works. So like she's starting to make like stuff for men's beards, and I'm like, you just all into it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? A lot of what I've noticed is people have kind of always had that in the back version of their head. So they may not have been able to figure out exactly how to make something, but they were, oh, well, I'm not sleeping super great. So instead of getting some sleeping pills from Walmart that has God knows what in it, they go and get some, chamomile tea or something and figure out, oh, man, this might be a thing.
Right.
So I like to play with a little bit more noticeable plants, like kava, all sorts of other plants. That's kind of what our thing with the podcast is to remove the stigma. Like, I want to make plant medicine more normalized.
Gotcha.
I want it to be like whenever someone hears mom's making some weird bombs out of nowhere, like, I want that to be something where people are like, cool, let's try it, instead of being like, I don't know about that, you know?
It's to be honest, it's one of them things where a lot of people are starting more to get into these organic, whether it's skincare, whether it's like anything that has to do with skincare or health. People are starting to go more into an organic field because they're starting to see that this has more benefits than me actually going to the hospital and getting these pills that has all these side effects. Me going more natural don't have side effects to it. So
it makes me really.
I think it's cool. It's something I would never do. I don't have that type of patience. I don't want to do research. I don't want to do none of that.
In 3 years, you're going to be boiling up a little pot of some sort of herbs.
I highly doubt it, but I don't have patience for research. That's too much time. I don't want to.
A lot of my stuff I learned from family. So I've always had, my mom's really into natural medicine. My grandma was really into natural medicine. So it was always kind of normal in my household, but it's so exciting, you know, like even from when I started 5 years ago, like watching the wave of how things are working. It's really exciting to see that people are really turning on to it now.
Yeah, like I said, it has more benefits to actually going to prescriptions. It's not as addicting. It's not you're trying to fix something else. Fix one thing, and then you got to worry about getting something else.
That's a big one, you know, like especially with like pain medication and stuff like that. They're like, oh, cool, you don't feel your back anymore, but now if you don't take these pills, you're gonna be jittering for a while. You know, that's not cool.
Like it's funny because I watch a lot of commercials that be advertising these medicines for, like, some have like for something to do with the skin, but it says. But then it lists all the side effects real fast at the end.
BS, cancer, death, you know, all those red things.
Right. Like, you might have high blood pressure. It might cause you to fall out. You like, wait a minute. I didn't have that problem before. Y'all gave me this medicine. Why am I having this problem now?
If you feel like your heart's about to burst out of your chest, maybe there is an issue.
Right. Then they tell you, you might want to check with your doctor before using this. Well, why am I calling you for it if I got to check with them? Don't make sense.
Yep.
It's like, so you give me a medicine for my heart, but it can also cause high blood pressure? Nah. Then you want to put in a warning, if it does X, Y, Z, make sure you call your doctor. Oh, okay. So you just gave me something that could potentially kill me and not tell me about this. Gotcha.
It's called being a guinea pig.
Right. We're going to test this on you. We haven't had any problems yet, but, you know, you might be that one that causes a problem. So we're going to throw this disclaimer in there so that way you can't sue us. Make sure you call your doctor before taking this, though. Like, why am I calling my doctor? So, yeah, I'm all for the organic and natural.
I like treat it in moderation. Yeah. Work your way up instead of treating heavy and working your way down.
Right, exactly. So with you all's farm, how big was the original setup?
The original setup was a 2,500 square foot building that was 3 levels. Okay. So it was, my ultimate dream was to turn it into a plant YMCA.
Okay.
So my educational background, I'm a teacher and a nutritionist. Okay. I also have personal training and all that in there. So pretty much anything healthy, and I'm just a nerd, so I like to learn a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to blend it all into this building. Mm-hmm. But again, we got halfway through the build and then it didn't work out. So it was a big setback, but in the long run, we ended up finding out that building was, it was more of a lemon than anything else. So, if you ever saw that movie from, I think it was like the 80s, it was called Money Pit, where these two people just bought this house and where anything that they fix, you put a nail here and the staircase is falling down over here. Like, it would have been those situations. So, you know, somebody was looking out for me. Yeah. It just took a few years to realize that's what was up.
That's not good, especially when you're putting so much money into a big building like that.
Yeah.
You don't want anything falling or cracking, especially within months or a year within you getting a building. Mm-hmm. So you want everything as safe as possible. So did you have any employees working with you, or was it just you doing it yourself?
So for the first year when everybody thought I was nuts, nobody was helping me. Mm-hmm. I actually had a sign in the greenhouse that was like a big old sign. If you've ever worked in a factory before,
I hate those jobs.
They always have that sign. It's been this many days since somebody's been injured. So I had one of those that said, it's been this many days since Charlotte's left before 10 p.m. And I think for the first year and a half, it was the most I ever made was 4 or 5 days at that. Oh, wow. It was, but I mean, that's building a business. Yeah. And it's a business that, you know, it's not like I'm selling you a chair. You understand what a chair is, you know. And granted, I should say, you know, there's all kinds of fancy things about chairs, the angle of the arches and all this, you know. But it's you know, Sprouts is kind of one of those things where unless they know about it, you really have to educate people. Yeah. And I think that's kind of one of the things that I liked about it was because I love talking plants to people. That is just my jam. Yeah.
Yeah, see, talking about plants, I'll be like this. You lost me about 2 minutes ago.
You think so, but you've never been to one of my markets. Okay. So we do the fresh greens. Okay. This is pre-COVID, I should say. So we do the fresh greens. Mm-hmm. We have lines of teas. We have lines of skincare products. And then we had an entire lunch menu. Okay. Have you ever heard of the Great Grilled Cheese Off of St. Louis? No. Again, pre-COVID, they were doing it every year. We got second place. Oh, wow. 2 years ago, and which is so nuts because I'm not a restaurant at all. That was another one of those moments where everyone I knew were like, "You're freaking nuts! Why would you want to do this to yourself?" I'm like, "Cause I know it's good." And you know, I pulled together a crew, and man, we made it happen. There was 3,000 people that showed up there. I was. And again, not a restaurant or a cook, but we had the grills, and so nobody knew how to work the grills. So I'm cooking here. I'm at one point I'm I can't even turn around because I know the line is too long and it'll make me stressed out. So I'm gonna cook, and somebody else has to, you know, cut it and put it over here. As long as I don't have to turn around, it's cool. Right. But man, we made it happen. But I also ordered not enough cheese and ran out of that 30 minutes before.
Well, you wasn't expecting.
Yeah. But it was really good. It was cool. Fazio's Bread Company, they paired up with us. They ended up giving us 50% off our bread because they were just yeah, we believe in you.
Yeah, that's always good when somebody, you know, believes in you.
I love family businesses.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing jumping into this new thing with the eggplant, the plant-based meat or anything like that? Have you all?
So we do a plant protein. Okay. That was actually one of the reasons why we're still in business right now. Okay. Because it is shelf stable. Okay. Because Sprouts, all of last year, we didn't do the markets at all. This is actually the first year I've been in the market for 2 years. Oh, wow. So, yeah, it's been a little bit of a break. The first one was pretty intense, and I was just I don't know how to sell to people when it's COVID, because I'm used to, giving them all the good smells and, you know, all the pretty plants and all this. But now you have to have everything prepackaged. You can't, unless you're a food truck, you can't prepare food on site. I used to have so with the proteins, I was a bartender for years. So, and I loved the show. So I had like 4 or 5 different shakers of different things. And I'm like shaking them all up and... You know, it's easy to draw people in with that. But then whenever you got nothing like that, I'm just sitting there going, twiddling my thumbs going, I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Right. Yeah, so have you decided to partner up with any possible food trucks maybe?
The goal is to eventually get my own food truck.
Okay.
But being invited over to 9 Mile, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna, you know, if I don't sell some greens, maybe give them away to some food trucks that are there and maybe make some connections.
Yeah. So with the 9 Mile, is that something that how did you connect with the 9 Mile?
So I have, since year 1, I've actually been vending at the Del Mar Loop Market.
Okay.
Which they are a fantastic market. Have you ever been there?
I'm used to the Sula market. I didn't even know they had one on Del Mar.
So Del Mar is actually one of the first markets in St. Louis.
Okay.
They always have live bands. They're a really big food farmer heavy. So if you're looking for produce, this is, you know, a good place to go. So there's the main strip there, and then right behind it, there's like that big parking lot that everybody parks in for all the things. Well, in that parking lot is where the Del Mar Loop Market is.
Okay.
But since I wasn't in there last year, due to COVID, because we actually lost like 2/3 of our farming business because of it. So I have 2 businesses. The other is house inspections. Okay. So that kind of, it was a trade-off of I have to pay my bills, so I kind of went more into the house inspection field. So I didn't do that last year, and they filled my spot. So this year I'm trying something new.
Okay.
Brian.
So how did you go from plants to house inspection? Those are two different things.
Short answer, I don't like to say no to new opportunities.
Gotcha. That's understandable.
Long answer is basically I went to a business meeting, and I ended up meeting this girl there that, like, the business meeting that we were at, we were just not jiving with what they were laying down. So we were kind of in the back, you know, joking to each other about it a lot of the time. And we bonded.
One way to make friends.
Yeah, we bonded very hard that day. Or that weekend. It was a whole weekend course. Okay. But afterwards, so it's kind of funny. She had just started this job. And she's like, this is amazing. You should try it because of your construction background. So I was like, okay, cool. So I took the job, and then I found out, like, the day after I took the job, she quit. So literally, this chick worked there for like 3 days, and on her second day got me hired. On her third day, quit, and I'm like, oh Lord, these people are gonna think the worst of me.
Oh wow!
But it's been like 2.5 years now. I just got awarded for being the best inspector of the country last month.
Well,
so
congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. So, but plants are my heart, so that's kind of what I'm trying to get back to.
Now, is the plants that you use, is it just for like natural stuff, or do you also do plants to where like for just normal plants, like just for house like decorations, or just to plant pretty much?
I'm really focused on plant medicine. Okay. So, I don't really do anything for visuals. Gotcha. I have an aloe plant, but technically I could make that into medicine.
Right. That makes sense.
I look at plants and I see like their benefits of what they can do. I don't look at the plant.
So
If that makes sense.
Where do you go to get your plants?
I grow them.
Okay.
Or I find reputable sources that I know the farm, or I've been able to research the farm really well, because seeds really do make a difference. Like if you get your seeds from a part of the country that has like a lot of air pollution and stuff like that, especially with sprouts, and then they ship them back here. That's what, did you hear about that whole thing with Jimmy John's a few years ago where they like took sprouts completely off the menu and all that? Yeah, so there was two different restaurants. One's Jimmy John's, one I cannot for the life of me remember right now. But one of them bought seeds from a contaminated area.
Oh, wow.
Brought them in, sprouted them, and made a ton of people sick. So it was removed off their menu. And then the other one, it was actually a U.S.-based business, like seed company, but they were not fencing off their fields. So cows that were sick got into the fields and ended up contaminating all those seeds. So it's very so sprouts absorb 98% of what's in the air and what's in the soil.
Right.
So it's really, really important on getting a very good solid source. Okay. And then on top of that, I only deal with family businesses. So it makes it a little more expensive and sometimes a little more pain in the ass to find the seeds.
Yeah, because those are very small.
Yeah.
They're usually small businesses. So.
But those are the people I want to do business with.
So how long does it usually take to, I guess, once you find who you want to buy the seeds from, how long does it usually take to get them, for you to get them shipped, I guess I should say?
So we've got really good relationships with the people. So I actually go and physically visit the farms.
Okay.
Actually, me and my dad go and visit the different farms. Because we do have a couple different regulations, like they can't use grain silos, which a grain silo is when people are putting all their seeds from the harvest into a big bin. Okay. And then, the next harvest, they put those seeds into that bin. And then the next, they put it into the bin. Okay. But sometimes it's other farmers that are around the area that are putting their seeds into the bin as well.
Oh, wow.
And things get mixed together, and calling it organic is iffy thing because you don't really have a way to track all those seeds. So when you deal with a smaller farm, again, it's more expensive, but those people, like our seeds, they all have on the bag a thing that says what section of the field they come from. And I love that. Maybe it's a little excessive, but I love that.
No, if you're doing something natural, then you need to know what part of the field is coming from, or where is it coming from in general. So when you go into these farms, how long do you stay how long are you staying to visit these farms, and what are you necessarily looking at as far as these farms and that you're potentially buying your seeds from? So
again, me and my dad kind of go there, and so we split it up. So my dad focuses a lot on if there's grain silos, what kind of fertilizer and stuff they're using for their fields. Okay. I focus a lot on the people. Okay. Because I do like to know what kind of people I'm dealing with. Gotcha. I want to know if you're someone that's gonna go the extra mile and maybe pay the extra $10 or $20 for something because it's good, or if you're someone that's gonna take that shortcut because you can just say otherwise. Right.
That's important.
So, we're both looking at both things, but those are we tag team it a lot of the time.
That's good.
And it's nice whenever you're a family going to deal with another family.
Yeah, that's true.
So usually it's like a day trip, and then we come back.
Okay. So what's the furthest that you all go to get these seeds?
Our absolute furthest place was Minnesota.
Okay.
So usually it's Midwest, but
Okay.
Minnesota has lowdown on some arugula seeds that my people enjoy.
Okay. You said you only, why is it that you only deal with the Midwest region as far as the seeds?
Well, shipping is
Okay.
a big thing too. So there's a couple farms that we are able to go and bulk buy from.
Okay.
But some farms, like, it's just not practical to be able to do that. So we do have to have it shipped once we know it's a place that we want to deal with. Because sometimes, I mean, you're paying $50 for a bag of seeds, but then you're paying $60-$70 for shipping for that same bag of seeds.
Okay.
And that makes a huge difference
That
when you're on a
does.
small
That
scale.
does.
Like if I was a big guy, oh cool, like I could just order a pallet, but
Right.
I'm not there yet.
Okay. So, with these seeds, you said some, do they have them on hand? Do these places have them on hand that you could buy from, or how's that transaction work?
They do, yeah, it's on hand.
Okay.
So this time of year is actually a little sketchy for seeds because everybody is at the end of last year's season.
Okay.
So when I say sketchy, it's a good quality seed. Everything's great about it, but they're the seeds that have been sitting around the longest that they're
Okay.
getting rid of in order to start the next season.
Okay.
So for me, it means that usually the seeds don't grow as tall of sprouts.
Okay.
Like they're just as thick, just as juicy. They just, for some reason, they never grow as tall whenever it's
I
the
got
seeds
you.
at the end of the season.
Okay.
So that's another thing with, if we could bulk buy and we had the storage, that would be a different case. But
So, when you're buying these seeds, are you more so trying to buy in bulk, or it just kind of depends?
it depends on the seeds for sure.
Okay.
Like our bulk greens, what I call the juicing greens. So those are the ones where, like the juice bars, if you go there, you can order a wheatgrass shot or a pea shot or a sunflower shot or, a blend of those. They're the really tall greens that are super fat and juicy.
Okay.
Smaller microgreens like broccoli sprouts or something like that, if you were to juice those, like it would take a ton to make a shot. But you don't need that much,
Gotcha.
They're sprouts are kind of they're opposite of people. So sprouts are, the younger a plant is, and when I say sprouts, it's literally any plant ever. Some taste good, some don't, is the only difference.
Gotcha.
Like, I've tried some chai seed sprouts, and I could not get that taste in my mouth. Oh, it's so awful. Don't ever do it. They look beautiful, but
Okay.
awful. But so the younger the seed is, the more nutritious it is.
Okay.
So for the first 10 to 15 days, depending on the sprout, they live off of the oil and energy that they were born with in that seed as soon as water is hit to it. After that time, they drop their roots and they start sucking their energy from the soil and the air, which is what I was saying, 98% from the soil and the air.
Right.
At that point, they're considered teenagers, so they're not going to be as healthy. They're going to taste bitter. They're just going to kind of be in the middle zone.
Right.
And then once they're adults, they're gorgeous, they taste delicious, but they will absolutely never be as healthy as they were when they were sprouts.
Okay. Do you try to use them within that 10 to 15 day range?
Well, you want to cut them within that 10 to
Okay,
15
okay.
day range, and then you have about 7 to 10 days to eat them after that.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's some leeway there. But if it helps, so say 1 ounce of wheatgrass, it's equivalent to 3 pounds of vegetables.
Okay.
1 ounce of broccoli is going to be like 3 heads of broccoli.
Gotcha.
So it's just super condensed nutrition.
Okay. So with these seeds, are you, what are you like hoping? So when you cut them, you said you have at least 7 to 10 not business, but days to use it. What happens after those 7 to 10 days that you don't use it?
You ever had bad lettuce? Like
Yeah.
lettuce that you just didn't eat? It gets kind of, so I tell people, like, if you hold the sprout up to the side and if it's kind of droopy, like it's like old lettuce. Like, so, I mean.
So it's kind of like a welted
Yeah,
look for the lettuce almost.
It's not going to taste anywhere near as good. At that point, if you want to juice it, you could, but I wouldn't eat it any further than a day or so past that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you do use it after that point, could you possibly mix it with, say, something with another plant almost that's more, with another sprout that's more younger, I guess I should say? Would it take away from the nutrition of the other one, or would it kind of?
It's not going to take away the nutrition of the other one because that has what it has.
Gotcha.
But you're eating something that's lost most of its nutrition, and it's kind of rubbery, and it's going to be one of those situations where you're like, you gotta chew it a little.
Okay. I got you.
Instead of that nice, good crunch and juice that you would want normally.
Okay. Now, do you rotate the sprouts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually really fun to look at. It's beautiful. Well, I think it's beautiful, but I'm a farmer, so what do I know? Right. If it's green and it's alive, I love it. But we actually grow on racks.
Okay.
So I just do the levels per rack. So, the oldest to youngest on there, because whenever you first add soil or first add water to the sprouts, you actually cover them with another tray for like 3 to 5 days. Like, you don't want any kind of light getting to them while they're growing. And so they'll get like 1 inch to 2 inches, depending on the sprout, and they'll be like totally yellow, and they will look super funky. But the reason why you do that is because since sprouts have so much chlorophyll in them, if you were to give them chlorophyll solidly the entire time they're growing, it could potentially make you sick. Because it's too much chlorophyll for your system. So the longer you keep them covered, the more, the easier it's going to be on your digestive system. And a lot of people eat sprouts because they have some sort of IBS or some sort of digestive issue. So the last thing you want to do is hand them something that's going to irritate that.
That's true.
So, it's kind of fun whenever you do that, though, because like once you, on the day that you take it off and they're all yellow, like within like the midday, like you can actually watch them start to turn colors.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun.
So how often do you rotate them?
Normal cycle is 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
So every 7 to 10 days I'm chopping and planting more.
Now, do you use the same, do you plant them in the same soil? Or you completely take the soil out, put some more new soil, fresh soil in, and then start that whole
So when I started
process?
out, I was doing like new soil every time because what I didn't expect, and it's kind of fun, is sprouts, the root system are so solid that it's whenever you go to when they're ready to cut, it's like cutting carpet. Like it's super solid root system.
Wow.
So at first I was like, well, the roots took over, so there's nothing nutritious there. But then I started learning a little more and composting, and I found out I actually sold the root beds to horse farms for a while because they're super loaded with nutrition, but you have to add other things to it in order to get it back to being soil that is usable.
Okay. So where do you get your So is there a certain soil for which you with you trying to do natural? Is there a certain soil that you have to use, or is it just you can just use any soil?
You could. I mean, it's a good question. So you can technically use any kind of soil you want, but because I'm obnoxious and I like the best of all things.
Right. Of course. Of course.
You know, if you're going to grow a quality product, put quality into it. That's true. My thing.
That's true.
You know, my finances might not always reflect that, but you know. So I like to use very high grade, what's called living soil.
Okay.
So that's something where it's already got a whole microbe system kicking in that soil. That's super healthy for it. It's organic, no chemicals are in there. I feel like my plants are happier when they're in there, but again, that's a farmer's perspective. Yeah. Like, I guess we could probably use cheaper soil, but I'm not gonna.
I mean, I understand. If you, like you said, if you want something high quality, of course, you're gonna have to pay a lot more money for, you know, that quality that you're trying to produce. So it's definitely understandable.
And it gave me motivation to learn how to compost things properly. Right. Like, you know, I am buying that, but it's adding to, you know, soil and root beds that have been composted. So it's eventually, you know, after a few years, I've gotten the hang of it, I think. Yeah.
So you said you were putting them on racks. So do you have like a greenhouse type thing almost? Is it just...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our greenhouse looks a little different than the average greenhouse because everything is on racks, but they're all rolling racks. Okay. So we grow, we're a medicinal plant nursery. So we grow like different herbs. We grow the sprouts. So it's like an indoor jungle, but on racks.
Okay. So with it being on a such smaller scale, is it a lot harder to maneuver everything, or is it a little bit easier because everything is right there?
I love it because everything's right there. Okay. And with them all being on wheels, like you can kind of just move it wherever you need it to be.
Now, if you... Like you said that you eventually want to move to a bigger spot. If that happens, would you still keep the same method, like the racks, or would you move more towards a traditional?
I would probably keep all the racks. Okay. Because of the fact that one of the things that I feel that huge sprout farms are lacking is individual attention to the plants. Gotcha. So a lot of the times, you know, you'll see these big impressive videos of, you know, a mile worth of sprout tables, right. But if you really pay attention, you know, there's bad spots throughout there because people aren't really taking the personal touch. Mm-hmm. That's why I like the spinning racks, and you know, the racks on wheels, because I can rotate them constantly. I can know what plant needs what. I may be a little bit of a control freak. I don't know.
That's good, especially when it's your business. You're running this bit. You're running this particular business for this particular reason. So, in essence, you have to be a little bit OCD because you're putting in, this is time that you're putting in. This is something that you want other people to buy. So in that case, it's highly understandable. Now, would you ever move to a more of a, I guess like an outside type of farm, or would you more so keep it indoor, like an indoor thing?
Another good question. So with sprouts, I would do indoor, just because of the control of the air and everything around it. But with the medicinal plants, like whenever, lavender or wormswood or any of those, absolutely having an outdoor facility would make the world of difference for that.
Now, do you have the lavender and stuff now, or are you just doing the...
I do those on the side.
Okay.
So those are small batch things.
Okay.
Because of, like, whenever I was doing the markets on the regular, I always had different things that I had been creating. But because of COVID and we haven't had as much foot traffic to it, I'm more on a call me and tell me what you need.
Okay.
And I will try and figure out what I can do for you to help with that.
Okay. Now, how do you know when you're rotating? Do you label the trays, or how do you know which ones to rotate where?
So, same method of how I find my car in a busy parking lot. I always park in the back left of the parking lot. So
wow.
every time I do my sprouts, I rotate them to the left. So I know that every day everything's been rotated to the left, and I don't have to worry about anything else because I won't remember.
Yeah, that's one of the things where I know me personally, I will forget which ones I didn't rotate it was new, and I'll probably mess something up.
Oh my gosh, when I first started, I was trying to, like, you think I'm a control freak now. When I first started, I had different colored stickers on every single tray.
Wow.
And, like, every time I touched them, I would put, like, a date and a time and all this.
Oh, no.
And then, like, it took me all of, like, 6 months to figure out that's not gonna work.
Right. That's definitely... Yeah, that's a lot of thinking.
My heart was there, but I'm like, this is just obnoxious.
So how many plants do you usually, or sprouts, how many do you usually do in a week or in a month?
So right now, because it's the first time I've been back at the markets, I'm kind of doing one tray of everything. Okay. Before, whenever it was our peak season, we'd sell about 4 to 5 trays of every variety that we had. So
what's considered peak season?
Peak season would be like market season, whenever people are, like, summertime, springtime, when people are walking around, just wanting something to do on a Saturday or a Sunday. Those are the people that are our jam.
Now, I know earlier you talked about the farmers getting rid of, like, the older seeds. When is that? What's the peak season for getting seeds, for them growing the seeds, or potentially you buying the seeds? What's the good time?
In about a month. We're going
to
start getting all the new season seeds.
Okay. Now, when you say new season, how long does a season usually last?
About 6 months.
About 6 months. Okay, so it's
depending on the crop, but yeah, about 6 months.
So it's usually about twice a year, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what seeds grow better in which season?
For sprouts, it doesn't really matter because it's all indoors and I control the environment for them. If you were growing outdoors, it would be a totally different game because it's not really sprouts when you're growing outdoors because it takes twice as long for the plants to get to the same size as they would indoors. So because it takes twice as long, they've already dropped their roots and lost their soil. So whenever that's a big difference of people. Whenever you can go to Whole Foods and you can buy wheatgrass powder, but your wheatgrass powder that you're buying there is seeds that have been in fields and that are no longer sprouts. Okay. So I mean, it is healthy for you, but you're eating teenagers. Like in the. That sounds really weird.
In plant form, you're eating
the teenagers. Like, it's bitter. Like, it's not going to taste that great. And it is healthy, but it's not anywhere near as what it should be, that's why we're doing our protein where it's, after depending on the sprout, 7 to 10 days, it is always cut because it's always at its peak nutrition. Okay. Because why would you take something if you couldn't get the best?
That's true. Now, if you were doing it outside, would it be Do you think it'd be more beneficial? Which one do you think is more beneficial? Doing indoors or outdoors?
For sprouts, inside for sure.
Right.
For the other ones, outside is fine. As long as you're not growing it within that small period of time where they're just sucking everything in around them, you're fine.
Now with a big land or something like that, when is it good to? I know you said it in a month, but with other kind of seeds like lavender and stuff like that, when is a good time to buy them?
So on that one, we're just starting that one. So
Okay.
I'm kind of it's like a whole new frontier for me.
Gotcha.
So for plant me, I'm just like wee all kinds of crazy new seeds.
Yeah.
So I've grown them on small scale in my own herb garden, but
Okay.
on mass scale, I'm learning as I go.
Okay. So I know you said you growing the lavender on a small scale at home or whatever. So are you doing that with any of the other ones, or is that kind of just a way that you do with new stuff that you are trying out?
I usually do it on, so 95% of the things that I make are due to me trying to fix something of my own
Okay.
or me trying to cover my laziness.
Okay.
So the skincare products and all that was about trying to fix my health. The tea products are all about so I am a super ADD person. Like my
Gotcha.
brain is going 100 all the time. So having that kind of tea that just kind of mellows you out for a
Right.
minute is nice. Like it
Gotcha.
doesn't get you high or anything crazy, but it just like kind of slows you down for a
That's
minute.
true.
Yeah. So
So have you what kind of teas do you do as far as with your business?
So we do regular sprout teas.
Okay.
So they're gonna be like cranberry tea, ginger tea, all of that. But I add our sprout protein to it.
Okay.
And the sprout protein that was created because I was too lazy to clean my juicer every day. And if you don't clean your juicer, like when you use it, it smells terrible later. Like just half a day, it smells terrible. Don't do it. Clean it or just find another way. So that was my other way. I could just like put my little teaspoon of whatever and whatever I'm drinking for the day and be good to go. But with that, I add that to teas because it's the sprout protein is super, super healthy for you. It's like 125 vitamins and nutrients.
Oh, wow.
It's super loaded in fiber, protein, like it's just great for you. Okay. So if you blend it with the teas, then basically you're turning your tea into a vitamin.
I got you.
With the other teas that we do, we work with kava tea. We also do work with CBD tea. Okay. We will eventually be doing THC tea. So each of them have a different thing. Kava just kind of mellows you out,
Gotcha.
But without the reason why I add sprouts to it is because for prolonged uses, kava can actually make you stop absorbing salt.
Okay.
Which affects like your vitamin B, vitamin K, and vitamin A intake. So it actually has a negative effect. So what we do is we add the sprouts because those are super high in those vitamins. So it's kind of counteract. You're getting the nice mellow effect, but you're not doing damage on your body.
So would that be that particular tea? Would that be almost good for like people with high cholesterol, high blood, with that diabetes? Would that be a good tea for them to drink just because of it limits the amount of salt and sugar and stuff like that they have?
I mean, it would depend on their their background issues, you know, like, because some teas, like a cranberry orange tea, might be better for someone like that versus like a ginger orange, like peach, like, you know, all of the ingredients matter. So there's always a way to cater the plants to the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, you're fine. You're fine. No, because the only reason I asked that because I have family that has heart problems.
Yeah.
That has, my family has a history of heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, stuff like that. So, you know, naturally, if it's something that they can use besides taking medicine and the insulin and stuff like that.
If they like salads, I would say the quickest and most delicious thing that they could do to start helping via sprouts would be adding pea sprouts and sunflower sprouts to their salad. Okay. So they taste super yummy and they're crunchy and they're juicy, but they're also loaded with all kinds of good things for it cleanses your blood. They also are known to, as they go through your system, they kind of act as a magnet for toxins.
Okay.
So as you like go to the bathroom or whatever, it releases those toxins out of your body. It also makes you feel a lot more full, so you're not snacking constantly. Right. I was a big person that I would dip real hard right before lunchtime. And, like, I was just a crab, don't talk to me right before lunchtime. But, you know, I started on the regular taking the sprouts, and I'm solid the way through. Okay. So, that helps.
Do you all do any, like, natural vitamins almost? Like, as far as, like, because, like, almost in a... Or
like
have
a
you
pill
like
type
a pill
thing?
form? Yeah.
You know, I've been going back and forth on that one. Okay. Because my whole thing is plant health, and I'm trying to get people away from big pharma, but at the same time, a pill would be super easy to pop. That's true. I purchased the machine to where you could like press them and make them, but I've been on the debate. I've had it for like a year and a half, and I'm like, does this counteract what I'm trying to do, or does it make it easier? Like, it's a debate.
I mean, it
what
definitely.
Do you think?
I think it definitely will make it easier because even with like supplements, like workout supplements and stuff like that, they have them in a pill form. Now, a lot of people, especially nowadays, everybody are trying to. Everybody's always on the go. Yep. So sometimes people don't have that energy to juice or anything like that. So taking a vitamin can help them. So it definitely with it being organic, it's not like they're getting. It's not side effects to it.
There's nothing like, being added.
Yeah,
it looks like a pill.
Yeah, it just has the pill look. It's still organic. It's still organic.
Don't take pills, but this one's okay.
Right. This one is definitely helping you. This is definitely worth it. But yeah, like I said, I see a lot of people take the supplement pill to like work out or instead of taking a protein, they might take the pill that helps like for muscle or something like that, but it's still not. It doesn't. Well, those might have some chemicals with it being for performance type thing, but I think that would be. If it don't work, you can always say you tried it.
I'll just blame you.
Wow. See,
he told me
this is the second time I didn't got blamed on my show. Why is that? People just love blaming me. It's all good. I'll take it. It was my idea, people. It was my idea. I gave the idea.
Well, but, you were saying like workout stuff. Yeah. So one of the really good things, which is pretty popular in like big sports, is fenugreek. Mm-hmm. So you can take it as a sprouted seed, or you can take it as a microgreen, but it actually increases testosterone.
Okay.
So it is super awesome for whenever you're trying to work out a lot. But you do have to, it's kind of one of those things where you do it for like 2 weeks and then you take a week off.
It's not steroids, people. She's not talking about steroids. Some of y'all don't get it confused. Please don't. She's not talking about steroids.
Yeah,
don't get them confused.
It is a sprout. It actually, so if you eat it a lot, it gives you the natural smell of maple syrup. So.
Now, with you doing research of that, why are you still on the fence of doing the pill if you know of a product like that?
Because I'm stubborn. I think that's the only thing that's holding me back. Like,
right. Yeah.
But I mean, I was open enough to purchase the machinery, and I don't tend to buy things that I don't use. So eventually, it's gonna happen.
Hey, as long as it eventually gets used. But like, I think that would work because, like I said, a lot of people, especially now, people been sitting at home for the past year due to COVID. So a lot of people are trying. I'm not going to say starting. They're trying to get back in the gym. We all know how that goes. You go to the gym for about I give it a month, and then you're like, no, I'm not going no more. It's kind of like that New Year's revolution, especially at the beginning of the year. Everybody go to the gym. Then go to the gym for the first couple weeks. The gyms are packed. There's nothing. But as soon as about that third week of January, everybody slowly starts decreasing and not coming back anymore. So
yeah, it's terrible. So pre-COVID, I absolutely was hardcore into my boxing gym, and I go a couple times a week. I absolutely loved it, and then COVID happened, and now I can honestly say the last time I worked out was when I watched that movie Girls Want to Have Fun, and they were doing that scene where they were dancing in front of the mirror for their big dance TV rehearsal thing, and I danced along to it, but that's about the only exercise I got.
Oh, wow. Now, if something like that was to work and you was to do something like that, would you try to go into that industry of go into that fitness industry?
I think that it's a very big field to go into, but my big goal really is, I mean, as much as I love creating all these different things, my big goal is to normalize plant medicine. So if it's not me that's pushing you into the physical therapy field, what I do want is for you to have plants in mind on that. So education is my big goal.
Even now, would you consider, with the plant medicine, would you even consider going to somebody who's a physical therapist and showing them, hey, this has X, Y, Z benefits to your client that has a bum knee or something?
Absolutely.
You can do something like this. Have you ever held any seminars or anything like that?
So I depends on what you mean by a seminar. So I teach a lot of kids classes, but as for standing up in front of a bunch of adults, usually that's my farmers markets.
Okay. Now, with that, it's good.
I mean, I love it. I would,
right.
But I just haven't. That's not the area I've done yet.
Okay.
Yet.
Would you consider, I know you said you do the markets a lot, but would you consider possibly doing demonstrations on a bigger, something that's solely towards you where you don't have other vendors or anything like that, something that's strictly yours, a demonstration seminar, stuff like that? Would you?
I would love that. That was kind of part of what when we were building the Plant YMCA building. So I love cooking. Again, that big restaurant background.
Right.
So, and with our farm, we had a full lunch menu. And, you know, I like to not only fill your belly with good things, but I want you to know why those things are good for you.
Okay.
So I feed you, but then you have to listen to me talk about plants. It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
We both get what we want.
Right. I'm pretty sure people, especially if you make it something that's healthy and that's good and healthy, I'm pretty sure people would never, care about it. But how long have you been how long have you been cooking, like in that type of industry?
I think 17 was my first restaurant job.
Okay.
I worked as like a regular server for probably 2 years, and then after that I was managing or GM.
Now, why didn't you go into that realm of why didn't you go into that type of industry along with your with making plant-based food?
So that would have been the natural course.
Okay.
But I ended up meeting this, so my best friend right out of high school, her brother walked in, and he was kind of cute, and I got very sidetracked for about 10 years.
Wow.
That's where I went into the welding and the traveling all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got distracted by a boy.
I guess that could deter you, move you from where you're trying to go. Now, you said you did welding. How did you get into? What made you get into welding?
So I was in Missouri, and I had just finished. I was a GM at a Sonic.
Okay.
And then I was offered, I was just applying all over the place because I was getting ready to move. Mm-hmm. And I had a random factory that was a saw blade factory in Peebly hire me.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, let's try this. And then I was actually dating my ex at the time, and he was a welder. So he was like, yeah, welding's a great career.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, yep. I won't listen to the boys anymore.
They seem to have gotten you in trouble in your early years.
They have.
Yeah, they seem to have distracted you.
I enjoy the stories that I have from it, but not going to repeat
Now,
those.
would you go back, would you decide to, have you ever decided to go back into the kitchen, which you have in this plant-based business?
Absolutely. So one of my goals is to create a recipe book.
Okay.
So I want to, because again, a lot of people don't really know what to do with sprouts.
Right.
So I want to create something where they have a book where they have a basic things of that they can do, but also that they're very interchangeable with a lot of things. So I want to make it easy for people. If I tell you a turkey sandwich, you can put whatever you want to put on it.
Right.
I want to make it very open. But then because of the bartending background and the protein, I also really dig doing different cocktails and stuff like that. So it's going to be half food and half drink.
Okay. Now, have you made any smoothies with these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Vine or heard of the Vine Mediterranean restaurant?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's down on Grand. It is super delicious. And then I Love Juice Bar, which is out in Ladue. Both of those do juices and smoothies, and we actually supply them with their sprouts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Show them some love.
So how long does so do you have to go over there and show them how to I guess necessarily, is there a particular way that you have to juice them? juice the sprouts? Or are you just...
As long as you have a masticating juicer, you're fine, which they do have.
Okay.
And then when it breaks, I come and fix it.
Okay.
Which is an odd skill I didn't realize I would learn over the years. But yes, I can fix any commercial juicer.
Okay. That's good. That works. So, how do you ship these sprouts to these different areas?
Right now, I deliver or they come and pick up.
Okay.
90% of the time I deliver because, again, we don't have a walk-in facility right now.
So how do you package them? Is there a certain way you have to package them, or you could just like put them in a box in there?
With the sprouts, we have like 1 pound bags that we like eco-friendly bags, and then the microgreens we just have like little plastic containers that are terrible for the environment.
Now, do you also sell the seeds too, or you plant the seeds?
So before I didn't, but right now because of COVID, I'm getting more into creating like kits where people can take them home and have a monthly supply.
Okay.
That way it keeps it from being exposed to the elements, but you're also getting the joy of growing for yourself.
Now, do you have to with these kits? Do you have to do you put instructions in them on how to take care of them, or you just... How does that work?
Yeah, instructions will be in there, and then we're working on having like a little video thing that Mr. Big Stew Studios will be producing.
Shout out to Big Stew.
So it'll be like a little individual video where it'll be me saying, "Hey, this is how you do this."
Okay. Now, how long with that video will you try to make that video? Will it be like
short.
A commercial type thing?
Yeah, short. Like it'll be, "Hey guys, we're gonna plant broccoli today.
Right.
This is how you plant it. Here's a couple nutrition facts about it. Eat it."
Now, will you have, as far as like the instructions, will it be a video that you can look up, or will it actually come in the package with the seeds?
So I am, being a farmer, not great with IT.
Gotcha.
So that's going to be a big stew issue.
Okay. That makes sense.
Most likely, like, feasibly, I would like to have it to where if you buy something, there'll be like a little code or something.
Okay.
And then once you get home, you can just put that code in and you can look up whatever videos you want.
Okay.
Kind of like a live video system. I also want to build like the recipe books and all that. Make a lot of it to where other people, wherever you're at, can learn.
So once you do make the recipe book, will you sell it, or will it just be some like come in a package deal? How would you do that?
Starting out, probably just come in the package deal. If I see that people are actually responding to it well, then we'd probably go into selling it. But a lot of my main goal is just kind of getting people interested in it, because it's, even getting your kids into it, you don't think that you're going to be interested, but then something happens when you put your hands in that soil, and something happens when you see that little seed pop out of the soil and you get to watch it grow. Like, you become very interested in it.
Now, will you have
a
starter kit for kids, for one, to get them interested in it, and then also have a starter kit for like people who's just starting out their garden or anything like that?
So I'm thinking of having 3. Okay. I'm in the process of kind of setting them all up. So I want to do one to where if you are, you have your kids, and you want to grow with them, you can do that kit, because there's also the online school and all that. Growing sprouts actually would be included in some of those science program type deals that they have, so it would help with their curriculum.
You can also have ones for adults where they already know the deal and they just want their supplies each month.
Okay.
And then I also would like to start pushing for like big businesses, corporations, stuff like that, to make it normal to have like a centerpiece of Sprouts, that people can add to their lunch every day, because the more healthy and energized their employees are, the better they're going to work.
Okay. So will they have to have a big garden, or it wouldn't matter what size the garden?
No, like centerpiece wise, because a serving of Sprouts, you only need about that much for a serving of Sprouts. So say you've got 15 people working in your office space, a little boat like this is going to cover them. Okay. And it's really, like, they are so flavorful. Like radish sprouts, arugula. Like if you think of the adult vegetable, times that by like 5. That's what it is like whenever you're eating these little guys. So it's like, it looks like it's sprinkled on your burger. When you're taking a bite of it, you're just like, dang, this flavor is nuts. And I love that.
Well, that's good. Well, that's it, everybody. This has been another episode of Straight Like That. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, the store. If you have any social media they can contact you on, go ahead and let them know where they can find you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. No. Charlie Sprouts, www.charliesprouts.com. We are also, on Sundays, we are going to be at the 9 Mile Market. We have Facebook, which is charliesprouts.com. We also have Instagram, which is charliesproutsSTLewis.com.
Well, I am your host, Mr. Antoine Thomas. It's been fun talking about plants with you. I've never talked about plants ever. I've worked at Lowe's and had to work in the garden section, and I didn't like it. I hated it. It was boring to me, but that's just me. You can follow me on all platforms: Facebook, Antoine Thomas, Instagram, @_Antoine Jr. _ You can follow the podcast. It is called on Instagram, Straight Like That 2, the number 2. And the podcast is also on Facebook, Straight Like That Podcast. We will have some merch coming up soon. I'm in the works with that with my producer. We will have merch coming soon, and hopefully you'll be getting one whenever we decide to do it, whenever we decide to get it. If you have any video, if you want to do any content creating, photography, videos, anything like that, my producer, Big Stu, shout out to Big Stu, he is the guy for the job. So this has been another episode of Straight Like That. See you all next week. This your boy Antoine, the host of Straight Like That podcast, being brought to you and aired at Big Stu Studios, produced by Big Stu.